All right, so we're gonna talk through our Princeton defense here. So our Princeton defense is our man-to-man. So it's a man defense. So we run our Princeton whenever a team has one guy in the crease or two guys in the crease. We'll go into a Kelly zone when there's no guys in the crease. So if you look at the X's as offense and the O's as defense, if you're looking at, say, one guy in the crease on offense, we'll say the ball's up here, our defense is gonna line up. Everyone's covering a man. So you've got this guy covering the crease, this guy covering X, these guys both have the wings, and then these guys are covering the middies. We'll also look at it through, if two guys are on the crease, so that could be a 1-4-1 or a 2-2-2. So if this guy's got the ball, you've got your guy in defense, that guy's covering back at X. So this is where we're gonna go over the hot slide and the two slide and how that works. So in this situation, you've got two guys on the crease. This situation, you've got one. Either way, it's super similar. So the first guy is going to be the hot guy. So right here, we'll just highlight the guy in the crease. So the closest guy in the crease. If there's only one crease guy, there's only one guy in the crease. If there's two crease guys, you're just gonna have to communicate. Like, there's really no wrong answers. We just don't want two guys sliding. So that's where communication is key. So the defenders, they want to push the guy down the alley. So whichever way, you wanna make sure that this ball carrier, we always say push them down the what, and all the kids say alley. So we wanna push the ball carrier down the alley. At that time, you've got a hot guy, and then you've got a two guy. So we'll double circle the twos. So there could be one guy who's two, there could be two guys who's two, it doesn't really matter. The big thing is that we at least have one. So there's a hot and there's a two. So let's break that down a little further. So you'll have your goalie saying constantly, who is what are we, who is what, and that's him asking his teammates who is hot and who is two. And then it's on them to basically recognize how the offense is sitting. So if we hone in on one guy in the crease, you've got this guy on ball, these guys are on the adjacents. Adjacent means it's the next pass in either direction. Then you have your man covering the crease guy and your two backside guys. So whoever is on ball is calling ball at all times. So every time that ball transfers, so right here, he's on ball, but this guy passes over to here. Now he's yelling, I got ball. If this guy passes back to X, he's running back and he's yelling, I got ball. It's important that we're always calling, I've got ball. So you've got the ball guy, you've got the hot guy, which is always crease. And then you've got your two. And now again, two can be one guy, it can be two guys. There's gonna be times where an offense is dodging and passing backside and dodging and passing backside. So we'll get a little bit lost. So sometimes you'll have one guy saying two, sometimes you'll say two. But all in all, if you're on the ball carrier, your ball, if your guy is on crease, you're hot. And if you're far away, so like right here, these two guys are the farthest from the ball, so they would be your two. If the ball's over here, these two guys would be farthest away, so you got your two. At all times, there's at least one guy that's really far. And same goes for if you're in that 1-4-1 set on offense, all right? Like if the offense is at a 1-4-1, if the ball's over here, this guy's clearly gonna be two. If the ball's back at X, that top guy's clearly gonna be sloughed in as the two. So let's talk over the action. So as the ball carrier dodges, we're pushing him down the alley. So we want them to go down the alley. We want them to take a shot that's down the alley, that's low angle, that's on the run, going away from the goal. It gives our goalie an easy save, and we're going back the other way. So we push him down the alley. Our hot guy goes after this dodger is a couple steps into his dodge. When the hot guy goes, so this guy's hot, he's on the crease. I'm hot, I'm hot. When he goes, he yells fire. So what this does, this guy's got the ball, this guy says, I'm ball. This guy's yelling, I'm hot, I'm hot. These guys are sloughed in which means they're kind of packing in the middle. They're touching the bucket. They're sloughed in, yelling, I'm two, I'm two. So we push him down the alley. As soon as he gets a couple steps into his dodge, the hot guy yells fire. So fire means two things. It means I'm coming to help, and it means I need help. So the hot guy yells fire, and he comes for a split second and double teams the ball carrier with the guy who was ball. As soon as he yells fire, this is where like the big misconception comes. As soon as he yells fire, that's signaling the two guys to slough in heavily. So if you're this guy right here, they dodge down the alley, he yelled fire, which means I'm going to help out the guy who's on ball. You have to know to slough in hard. And now you'll hear coaches say over time, keep your head on a swivel. So if my guy's back at X, the guy up top's dodging, and I'm the two, whenever he yells fire, I'm sloughing in heavily and keeping my head on a swivel. So I'm looking at where the hot guy came from because his guy's now open. So fire, he's gone. The twos slough in to keep an eye on this guy. A lot of times you want to keep a stick on him and your head's on a swivel. You're looking at him, you're looking at him, you're looking at him, you're looking at him. And it's like, it's almost a task, but you're looking back and forth frantically. Just for a couple seconds, you're watching the guy that the hot guy left and you're watching your guy who is still your responsibility. So fire means we are all going. I'm going to help ball. Two, you have to come help me. When the fire guy gets here, it's a double team just for a second. So the fire guy takes an angle of pursuit is what they call it in football. It's like whenever somebody, you can just come in and shut the door. Our dog's loud. So they call it an angle of pursuit in football because if you have somebody who just beat the whole defense on football and he's running up the sideline, they'll tell, like here's your ball carrier in football, they'll tell guys that are behind him trying to catch him, you have to go at an angle to catch him because this is shorter than this. So it's called an angle of pursuit. So that hot guy, whenever he slides to help the ball guy, he's coming in at an angle. He's not coming straight at the ball carrier. He's coming in at an angle so he can catch him with an angle of pursuit. When this hot guy who just fired gets here, and he's in a position now to where he's now covering the ball carrier. So I yelled fire, the ball carrier's coming down, I met him at an angle, and now I'm at a good position where my stick's on him and I'm covering him. The hot guy who fired yells RECO. So RECO simply means recover. Recover means whoever was just guarding this guy, get out of here. This has nothing to do with you anymore. I've got the guy, get out of here and go recover to where I came from. So we have hot who fired. He picked up the ball carrier from the guy who was on ball. Once he got here, now he's got a stick on him, he's playing him. He says RECO, that means I now have this guy, this is now my guy. And now the guy who was on ball initially has to recover back and pick up the guy who the hot guy left. So let's talk about that for a second. Ball carrier is on ball. I got ball, push him down the alley. So I got ball, I got hot him too. Push him down the alley. Hot yells fire, which means that everybody goes. I go to help ball, two comes to help me. When the hot guy gets to ball, he yells RECO, 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 which means the guy who was on ball recovers back to the middle and picks up the guy who the hot guy left. So if you're RECO'd, if you were ball, fire came and you got RECO'd, you immediately, as soon as they yell RECO, this guy I'm on is not mine anymore. I'm turning completely around back to him and finding the guy in the crease that the hot guy just left. So hot goes, twos come in to help just for a second. Hot guy RECO's the ball. Guy on ball sprints back in. And whenever he gets here to pick up the guy that the twos were sloughing into cover with their head on a swivel, he also says RECO. So there's two RECOs. Whenever he gets back in to pick up the guy who the hot guy left, he says RECO, which again, just like here means, I got it now. I'm here, I got a stick on him, recover, we're good to go. And these guys whose heads were on a swivel, because they're still watching their guy to make sure he doesn't get out of their line of sight, they now RECO back to their guys. So it's a little complicated, but what in life isn't complicated the first time you do it? That's why we run that slide drill. You have guys like Carter Mon, who just out of nowhere, bam, doing that slide drill a couple practices. Now he's like Johnny on the spot with slides and talking. Like, you're not gonna be good at anything first time through. So let's talk through it one more time now that we've kind of covered it. So they've got one guy in the crease. So we're yelling Princeton, Princeton. There's one guy in the crease, we're Princeton. Let's say ball's up here. So we've got our guy on ball. We've got two adjacents. Those guys don't slide at all. They're simply just staying with their man. So if this guy, so like if they dodge and this guy like clears through on an offensive play, all you do is just stay with him and follow him. You're not, if you're adjacent, you're the first pass, you're not part of the slide. The slide is simply like a straight line. It's ball, hot, two. So here's the guy in crease. Backside guys slough in. So we've got our ball guy who's going to push him down the alley. We've got our hot guy who is the crease guy ready to help. And we've got our two, the backside guys, whoever's farthest from the ball. They're ready to slough in once the hot guy fires to help out with their head on a swivel. So we push the ball. So I'm ball, I'm hot, I'm two. We push this guy down the alley. Once he gets a couple steps in, the hot guy's yelling, fire, 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 which means that he's coming and they're coming. So fire is two things. Fire means that everybody in this little hot and two triangle is all activating. So fire means I'm coming on an angle of pursuit to help out the ball. Fire means that the twos are sloughing in to help out the hot guy because his guy's open, and the twos, their head is on a swivel because they still have to watch their guys. So once the hot guy gets here on an angle of pursuit, he's picking up the ball carrier and he's yelling RECO, which tells the ball carrier to literally, all right, that's not my guy anymore. I trust you, that's not my guy anymore. But I'm now gonna help you out by finding your guy that you left. And once the ball carrier, once the guy who started on ball gets back to the middle, once he's fully RECO'd, fully recovered, then he has to say, RECO, RECO, which tells those twos to get back to their guy. And that whole time, those twos were watching their guy while watching the guy, the hot guy left. So whenever they do recover and they get RECO'd, they know where their guy is. Even if he moved a little bit because of some type of offensive formation, they've been watching him, so all they do is just go find him there. So we've got hot, whoa, we have ball, we have hot, we have two. So anytime we're in Princeton, that means there's somebody on the crease, possibly two guys on the crease, and it means someone's gotta be ball, someone's gotta be hot, someone's gotta be two. We're gonna do it one more time just for overkill. It's just like that Carter Mon thing. Like let's do a little overkill because it works. So say there's two guys on the crease, which means they're either in a 1-4-1 or they're in a 2-2-2. For you parents, they do numbers off of offense. So like this is literally 2-2-2. So say they're in a 2-2-2. You've got your guy on ball. You've got your adjacents who have nothing to do with the slide package at all. You've got two guys on the crease, and then you've got one guy backside. So here, these guys have to talk. That's why it's important to be talking. I'm hot, I'm two, but you're also listening. Because if three guys are yelling hot, somebody's gotta be like, there's too many of us, who's hot? Like, this is where like learning and doing it 100 times gets us like acclimated to each other. But in this scenario, let's say this guy ended up being hot. So there's your hot guy, which means the two other guys involved that are far from the ball, we gotta have two. Regardless, this guy's definitely two. So ball, hot and two, ball pushes him down the alley. He gets a couple steps into his dodge. The hot guy's gonna yell fire. So fire means I'm coming on an angle of pursuit, but it also means that the twos gotta get in and sloughed, keeping an eye on their guys. So now we're watching these two guys and this guy, head on a swivel, head on a swivel. We're meeting them at an angle of pursuit. Once we get there, we RECO, which means the guy who was on ball gets to the middle on a sprint. He finds who's not being guarded. So right here, it's not as easy as when there's one guy, but there's still going to be, you're running in and RECO, 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 and that's where you can kind of talk to your teammates of like, who are you on, who has who, because I'm picking up somebody. So RECO, and then RECO. So at all times in Princeton, you're gonna hear the goalie, you're gonna hear Yeti yelling, who's what, what are we, what are you, who's what, who's hot, who's two, and we're always somebody's ball, somebody's hot, somebody's two. And then whenever we go, it's fire, RECO, RECO. If you guys have any questions, please do message me. I feel pretty confident in that right there. So I'm kind of excited for questions, because if you have questions, I bet it's a little outside the box, and those are the ones that we want to make sure to sniff out. We're also going to send an updated playbook. That's my bad on the PowerPoint link. I definitely sent the wrong thing and jacked up the format because I'm a boomer. But yeah, text me, call me. I'm here for it. We're going to have a big week. I'm really excited for next week, and I think this is going to be a big stepping stone in us crossing the border and hopefully bringing home some hardware.